Hey BA people, welcome to the Bold Authentic Life. I'm John. This is my channel where I talk about all things related to what I'm calling our mess. What I mean by that, I mean our mental, emotional, social, and spiritual health. Okay, that was kind of a joke, but it totally fits, and I like acronyms sometimes, but we're gonna roll with that. That's what I talk about on my channel, and I am grateful to open that dialogue for you and to just have a safe place where we can talk about all things related to that and our health and how to grow and to improve in those aspects. Today, what I'm talking about is why is it so hard to let go? Why is it so hard to move on from people, from relationships, from careers or situations that didn't end the way exactly that you wanted to, and you want it to go a certain way? Why is it so hard to just let go? Obviously, this isn't an easy thing, and I, without a doubt, firmly believe that everybody who watches these videos and everybody who doesn't, I mean everybody, has experienced this idea of someone or something that they just can't let go of, and whether they eventually were able to or not, it's something that we all know. It's an experience that is just common to everyone. The problem with not being able to let go, though, is that it can actually lead to some very unhealthy habits and behaviors, things that we start to do that affects either us or other people negatively. And when other people that we have some sort of relationship with, whether it's friends or a relationship, or dating relationship, or family, when we're around somebody who can't let go, or we are somebody who can't let go of something, it's going to affect the way we treat them, and it's going to make us or them, it's going to lead to behaviors that are manipulative, behaviors that are obsessive, and it's not good for somebody to experience these things, whether it's being done to them or they're doing it to somebody else. And so we need to be able to identify this kind of situation and to take active steps to recognize it and to address it. So in our mind, we have our egos, right? And one thing that our ego consistently does is it creates stories of what we want, of how we want situations to go. And a lot of these stories are fueled by our experiences and our knowledge of things like romance and dating, right? One of the biggest what's the word for one of the biggest culprits is for romance, and what screws up our perspective of it is romantic comedies. And yeah, I'm straight up calling them out. Yeah, romantic comedies have totally screwed our perspective of what romance is supposed to be like, of what relationships are supposed to be like. And if you went into dating trying to make it a romantic comedy, right? I mean, good luck with that, but that's not how healthy dating actually works. And it's a hard pill for some people to swallow. It was a hard pill for me to swallow. But the way that we've been influenced most of our lives growing up about dating, a lot of it is wrong. A lot of it is just not, the healthiest opinion. And it's something to be careful of, because our ego, right, wants to start storytelling in our head, wants to create these narratives and these stories of how we want things to go. And if we let it, right, say if we start dating somebody and then we start, in our head start picturing, oh, well, what would it be like if we were in a long-term relationship? What would a marriage with them be like? What would, this whole experience be like if we dated for like 3 weeks? And, what would sex with them be like? What would, everything with them be like? And you're thinking about all these things, and you're creating a narrative in your head about, this imaginary person who, this isn't the person that you're currently on a date with, but you're in your head thinking all these different situations with them. Then you're allowing yourself to create a narrative about a person, right? And you could take kind of the same template and apply it to a career, right? You imagine what that career is going to be. You think about, the opportunities that will be available to you, what people will think of you, what you'll think of that career, what it will be like. And then, you fall in love with that narrative. You're like, oh, I want to be, I want to do this with, my job, and it's going to be like this. And then once you actually experience it, you run into this cognitive dissonance of like, well, it's not what I envisioned in my head, but it's actually this way. And that's really disappointing to me because I want it to be what I envisioned in my head. And what most people are incapable of doing is letting go of the version in their head and accepting that, hey, this is actually the reality of what it's like. And if you're unable to see the reality of a situation, then that prevents you from actually addressing things in a healthy and responsible way, because you see it as something that's a lot more glorified or romantic, and you're stuck with the story version of whatever situation that you're in. You're stuck with the story version of somebody that you were dating, and you're missing all of the signs of like, well, they weren't exactly healthy for me, and I wasn't exactly being a healthy person in that relationship because, XYZ reasons. My point is, our mind is constantly, coming up with it wants to come up with these different like narratives of how we want things to go. And it's good to have ambition. It's good to have desires. It's good to say, hey, that's something that I want, and I'm going to go after that. And hopefully it turns out the way that I want. That's perfect. But what we need to do is we need to be able to let go of that if it doesn't turn out that way. And a lot of times that's what we're not doing. And that's why we end up in situations where we just can't let go. Because we want to believe the story, and we take a story in our head and we try to make it reality, as opposed to looking at the current reality and letting that be the story that's written. And the way that this becomes really destructive to ourselves and to others is that it causes people to get frustrated when the reality doesn't mix with the story. The story of the ego, it's like this voice, right, that speaks into you. It's like almost kind of like an angel devil kind of situation where you get this story in your head, and then you also get the reality, and you want to listen to the story that sounds better. You want to listen to the situation where you begging this person to love you actually works, and they end up like realizing, oh, what was I thinking? Yeah, you know what, I do love you, and because you were obsessed with me, now I love you. It doesn't work like that. And guys do this, especially when they are what is it, like the nice guy, when they end up being, oh, just a friend, and then they think that, oh, if they're just a friend long enough, then this girl will magically just be in love with them again. And that's not how it works. So and that's another situation where you can't let go and you can't accept reality. And there's nothing shameful about accepting reality. There's no reason to beat yourself up. This is one of those situations where it is never to your detriment to practice being kind to yourself. And this is especially one of those situations where you have to see that, even when you look at the reality for what it is, it's something you do because you're kind to yourself, because you care about yourself. And that's why you set up boundaries and say, hey, you know what? Like if I were to do it, whenever I do this in my head mentally, I'm saying, hey, you know what, John, like, it's okay. Things didn't work out, but that happens. It's a part of life. And now we need to work on ways to move forward. We need to work on, what is okay and what isn't okay. We need to see the situation and what was good and what was bad. What could I do better? What, is something that person needs to work on? Can I address it with them? Do I have that kind of standing? If not, hey, I hope that they can. I hope that, things go well for them. If I can't address it, yeah, I'll speak my mind. It's just a matter of being aware of your ego and tearing yourself away from it. the vast majority of times you have to see situations when they're not lining up in the way that you want, and it's okay to take a step back and to see it as it is, and not to be defeated, you know, because of that, but to actually just see it for what it is, and to say, hey, you know what, like, I can let go of the fact that it's not ending up the way that I want. Because if you keep trying to make it change, it's just going to flare up your ego, and at the end of the day, it's your ego that is causing you to not be able to let go. It's causing you to want to choose the story instead of seeing the situation or the person for how they actually are. And once you're able to step back and see things for how it is, you can actually evaluate a situation a whole lot better and realize, okay, well, where can I, you know, how should I act? Where can I take responsibility? Where can I do better? And what are the things that are out of my control? And when it comes to other people's behaviors, or, you know, other people's decisions, you can't control those. You can influence them by giving your opinion. You can state what your beliefs and, you know, importantly, what your boundaries are, but you're not the one that makes the decision to start dating you. You're not the one that makes the decision to hire you. You know, somebody else is. Those parts are out of your control, and you need to understand, you know, that's the biggest thing that we need to understand, is that there's a good portion of relationships that are out of our control. So what we should do is focus on the things that we can control, and that is in taking responsibility. And when it comes to relationships, that is in expressing boundaries and enforcing them. That doesn't mean you need to be cruel, right? Now, people think that setting boundaries means you just need to build a brick wall. I'll do another video about boundaries another day, but boundaries are, you know, boundaries are something that, you know, you create in order to keep yourself from getting harmed. And when you end up in a situation where, you know, you can't let go of somebody, you're more willing to tear down your own boundaries in the hopes that things might align with that story that you've written. So it's very important to establish boundaries, and to understand that they're also there for yourself. They're there to protect yourself, as much as they are for the sake of other people, to, you know, to keep other people from, you know, any sort of, you know, negative interaction that might occur. Those boundaries are there to protect you, and that's why you set them. It's just a matter of being aware of your ego and being able to put it in check. And it's a long process to learn how to do all of that. But one of the smallest and easiest things you can do is to just be aware of when you're telling yourself a mental, like, story that, you know, is fantasy, is romantic, and you want it to be, and you're able to see that, you know, like, the real situation might not lead up to that, and you're able to differentiate between the two and realize that the story is just a story, and you need to pay attention to the real story that's actually going on. And that's one of the smallest ways to be able to be aware of your ego, to dismantle it, and, you know, one day actually be able to integrate a healthy and strong ego into your personal life. So that's what I have today about the stories that we tell that cause us to not be able to let go of certain situations. And I want you to let me know what you think about it. The comment section is right down there, so be sure to hit me up with your thoughts, your opinions, your whatever else that I might have missed that would be helpful, or even if you disagree and why you disagree, or I would love to hear all of it. Be sure to hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to be made aware of future content. And if there's somebody that you think might like this video, share it with them. That being said, that's kind of all I have for you today. I hope that you're staying safe during the current pandemic, and I've been kind of getting a cough, I'm not gonna lie, but from what I've been looking up, it's just just having a cough is not a symptom, or just having a cough is not like a guaranteed sign. So it's kind of just a symptom, and it's not even a dry cough. A lot of people have been giving themselves like just like self-diagnosing yourself is crazy. So I've just been looking a lot into it. I don't think I'm going to be, in any serious harm, but I have been looking everywhere just to make sure, like, hey, like I'm okay, right? It's crazy, and I hope that everyone's okay. Once again, big shout out to all the people that are out there, especially in the healthcare field, and you guys are champions. Props to you. So that being said, hey, BA people, I'll see you later. Till next time.